Well, my brother his name is Pete, still is Pete. Um, he was assigned to Squad 288, and he was on an onion skin, which we call in the fire department in New York, detailed until further notice to Rescue 4, and he was going to be, a member of Rescue 4. That particular day he was working in Rescue 4. He'd come in early. One of the other firefighters had asked him to come off his vacation one day early to work for him. And they responded, and he didn't make it. And to this day, we haven't found any of them. I guess his remains are scattered throughout the landfill in Staten Island and down in Lower Manhattan. Great kid, very motivated kid when he was young. Oh, he wanted to be a fireman in the worst way. Waiting for the fire test, he took the police test a couple of years earlier. Passed, was on the police department. I could tell you some stories about him on the police department. He was a funny guy, practical joker with a lot of things. Married, I remember when he got married, he married a nice girl, Erica. He had a daughter. She was a couple years old, and Erica was pregnant on 9/11 with his son. His son was born on his birthday in December, Christmas Eve of that year.
What's
his name is Connor. They had made an agreement to call him Connor, and his name was going to be Connor. Nice kid. Family, devastated. The hurt is still there. Hurt never goes away. So, like they're talking about the 10th anniversary. It's a mark. Every day is 9/11 day in my house. I have Pete's on my arm. At this particular venue here in Baltimore, we have the Better Angels displayed at the National Forum Firefighters have put together with the artist Dawn Siebel, and his picture's right in the middle. And it's something, you see him every day, and the hurt, and plus the other 151 guys I knew on that wall, and the other the total of 343 brave people that went into that building. As a firefighter, that particular day I was retired, and I sat on my bed and I watched this thing happen, and going through my mind was the response. I had been a fireman down there. Who was going to be first? Who was second? Second alarm, third alarm, who was coming in, where they were going, what they were doing. And then when I saw the building, and they said a small plane had hit the World Trade Center. And I had third and fourth alarms in that building, and from the street you never saw the smoke. And when they showed the picture, I said, they're never going to put this fire out. And then we found out it was a big plane. And then I caught in my eye, I caught the other plane coming. And I was just mystified there. My son also worked that day. He was with EMS at the time. And I'm thinking to myself, well, what's going on? Then when the buildings came down, there was a problem. But Pete responded with Rescue 4.
So he was in the building on where probably?
Yeah, they were going up to help. I didn't know the whole story, but I believe they were going up to help other firefighters that needed some, assistance. And then the collapses came, and it was all over after that. Every one of those firefighters made a moral decision to stay in that building to help people out. They said, and it's funny, you talk to some of the survivors that did make it out, that met the other firefighters on the stairway, and the guys were shaking hands and were hugging and saying, we're probably not going to make it, so here we go. We got to get out of here. We're taking these people down, and if we make it, we make it. If not, remember me. And
so you knew your brother and your son were there?
Yeah, knew they were there. And then after the buildings came down, what went through my mind is, what am I going to tell my wife? I thought about right away if my son didn't make it, or when my brother, I was hoping for the best. Well, next day I got there, and I ran into guys from his company that had come in overnight,
right,
and the other guys. And one of the lieutenants from his company came to me and said, he says, we don't know where anybody is. We don't even know how many people are missing. And at that time I was still with the counseling services unit. Once you go into the counseling service unit in the fire department in New York, it's like Hotel California. You check in, but you never check out. They always call you to ask you to do some help out with other firefighters that have gone through some other trauma or situations that you had been in. So I was down there trying to get casualty reports, and we were trying to figure out who was who, you know. And the men from Rescue 4 came to me and said, we kind of knew the area they were in, but it's not there anymore. And it was utter chaos, mass confusion, buildings burning still. I mean, they had to just control the fires, you know. And eventually they did, but we looked in the areas.
Did you go down to the area?
Oh yeah, I was down there. I had been retired because of my health. I have chronic obstructive pulmonary disease from a couple fires that I fought and then I got hurt at. And I knew if I was going to stay down there any longer, I wasn't going to make it either. I would be another casualty. So I had to pick my spots, and I was going to start digging, but then they asked me to do casualty reports around the scene and find out and check out and see what companies were who and who was down there and who was riding and who wasn't riding. And then eventually I was called back to set up a counseling services unit up at Fort Taunton, yeah.
Fort Taunton. So you're looking for different people, I mean, you know, helping to...
Oh yeah, we were doing a count, looking for people, and you have to keep your cool in that. Family members would call up the casualty hotline, and all you could say to them was, well, we know he was there. He hasn't checked in with us yet, and we're still looking. He's right now he's still on duty, you know, and until we find him. We didn't use the word missing or presumed dead or anything like that.
You didn't use missing?
Oh no. Still there, still operating until, you know, we get the head count. We'll get back to you. And then after like a week, we knew that, you know, there was some problems with the local press saying that there were thousands of people trapped underneath, and you know, there was still hope. And once you went down there that first day, forget about it. There was.
I know it was probably tough on your family and his wife.
Oh yes. Here is a young girl, pregnant, and her husband is missing. And you know, I spoke to her on several occasions. Went to the house, and you know, it was very hard. I mean, I hurt as much as I did that day, you know, and then the emotions go up and down. And then eventually, a couple weeks later, we had a memorial service.
Did you?
Yes, and the great people from the Long Island Fire Departments out in Suffolk County were great. They accommodated everybody, and then we had the funeral service, the memorial service at the church. And I was amazed when I came out. I think they did 9 or 10 that day, and the street was lined with firefighters from everywhere, all over the United States. And I was just, it was humbling. You know, the fire department was humbled that day. You know, we lost our command staff and everything. And then I'm standing there looking at the sea of blue outside the church, and I seen guys from Portland, Oregon to Portland, Maine out there, and the pipe band was from all over. And I said, I actually got angry at the people that perpetrated this crime on our country. And I started looking, and the anguish in their faces also. It was like it happened to them, even though they didn't know my brother. But it, you know, and then it was rough, and it's till to this day. I mean, the hurt it never goes away, never will go away.
So has the attitude of firefighters in New York changed since? For a while, was it all "we love you," and now it's?
Well, in the department, it's all "we love you," but the people, you know, in 10 years, people forget. We just the fire department, which I wasn't involved in, just went through a series of contract negotiations, and you know, and they made the firemen out that they were grabbing all the money, and they really aren't. I mean, the life expectancy of a firefighter after he retires is only 8 years. People don't realize you go into a burning building. I mean, it's hazardous. Not just even with your mask on, you still have to breathe in all that stuff, and you could die at any given time. And we work safely, but still there's, you know, there's incidents.
I understand there's a lot of ceremonies or services planned. I guess that's going to be really tough, and some families have said they may or may not come.
Yeah, they don't want to relive it, and I do it because you know, they made a moral decision to go in them buildings, and they knew their life was, they weren't going to come out. Some of them thought that they weren't going to come out, and some of them thought they were, and they were going to do their best. So it's, I feel it's my obligation to keep up their tradition as far as being aggressive firefighters. I'm going to be an aggressive person to keep their memory alive, you know, till I die. You know, I'll never forget. I mean, with the sacrifices they made, you know, and because you have to, well, you don't really have to be a fireman to understand it, but anybody that goes out of their way to help somebody else, you get a good feeling after that. And I have a good feeling and a bad feeling. The bad feeling is I'll never see these guys again. The good feeling is I'm going to keep their memory alive, and that's very important to me.
So you've been down there on quite a few occasions since the incident?
Oh, yeah. Well, I work, well, I don't actually work, but I volunteer for the counseling services unit of the city of New York. And if there's anybody that needs, we do a peer counseling. We talk to young firefighters and firefighters that survived and worked down there, and we try to, you know, make sure that their mental health is in good shape. The department has made an effort. The big thing now is body, mind, and spirit. They make sure their mind is okay, their body is okay, because there's a series of medicals that they go, and their spirit is up. And with the 10th year anniversary, it's just another day. And you'll probably get that from anybody that you talk to that worked the World Trade Center. Every day's a 9/11 day for everybody. You know, it's the World Trade Center. I remember when you called me up when we got Bin Laden, and you said, well, you know, what do you have to say about that? I said, well, I'm very happy that they did it, but they still can't bring Pete back. And it was just another day. And, you know, we could kill them all the bad guys that, you know, that perpetrated this crime on us. There'll still be more coming to get us. But they can never bring Pete back and the 342 other firefighters that are on that wall. Every day it's just, the hurt is there, you know. It won't go away. I've been through counseling, you know, and I just go on my daily routine every day and I do what I have to do. I hooked up with the National Fallen Firefighters Foundation. They came down day 2 after 9/11, and I mean, it's quite an organization, and I hooked up with them, and from then on, it's just what they've done for us in New York and what they've done for the rest of the country, well, the firefighters that have been lost in a line of duty is phenomenal.
So I guess you're making sure your nephew knows about it?
Well, that's a touchy subject with my sister-in-law. Oh. When he gets a little older and more mature,
well,
yeah, when he gets a little older and more mature, Uncle Vinny's going to sit down with him and talk to him about his dad. Right now, she's being very protective as far as the fire department goes, and you know.
How old's the daughter?
12.
And I guess she's more aware, probably.
A little bit more aware. Knows her dad. You know, it's funny to see them looking at him. Little Connor looks spitting image of his dad. And the combination of Anna Nicole is his daughter. Looks like mom, and looks like, I look from different angles, they look, you know, oh, that looks like Pete, oh, that looks like Erica. Yeah. But it's quite, it hurts, it really hurts.
And you have a counseling unit aspect or component that deals with kids?
Well, yeah, really, in the fire department, they don't. What they do is they referral it out to yes, everybody's taken care of. Inside the unit, they referral out to different psychiatrists, psychologists that deal with children. But for the most part, our unit deals with firefighters and spouses and their families.